Well people, it is January the 2nd, time right now is 8:40 AM and the temperature in the car read -1 degrees. It's been a lot colder than that. It's been as low as -4 this morning as I was driving down here, so the temperature is warming up slightly, but it's still below zero. And what's interesting obviously is the waves are hardly any size whatsoever. In fact, it's very calm. But we're only getting a silhouette of the mountains in the background. To be honest, I really didn't expect anything more than just a silhouette. It backs up my theory as regards the reasons why they say that looming happens in warm weather. And essentially the belief is that when it's a warm day, the warmness of the air just seems to burn away this haze, this atmospheric blockage that we're looking at right now. And they then claim that that is looming. So anything that you see that doesn't conform to the ball is obviously being loomed. It's not the fact that it's just a clear day and you can see very far. But this is the conditions that they would say is ideal for the ball model, you know. Conditions where you can't see very far. It goes against all our senses to believe that when we see things in the distance, lighthouses, mountain ranges, that they are being loomed up by refraction, terrestrial refraction. And we are told not to trust our eyes, that it's all a hologram. But as you can see, the conditions, as I say, are absolutely freezing cold right now. And I'll just point over to where the wind turbines would normally be. Now, you know, you should be no issues with seeing them from this height right now. And maybe the camera's picking them up, I don't know. Possible when I get home you might see them on the camera, but it just appears again that there's nothing to be seen. For the most part the turbines are white and they just blend into the background. You just can't see. So if I've picked any of those turbines up, happy days. But back in the day when they started making these wild claims of the globe, they didn't have a camera like this, they just had their eyesight. And they convinced the sheep that we lived on a spinning ball. Over this way, obviously we're looking south now towards well, right now it would be towards Southport, which would be about here. Southport would be there. Then we'd be coming across towards Liverpool, and then beyond Liverpool we'd be looking down towards the Welsh Mountains, which should be visible. You know, at least half of the mountain range, you know, all this area should be visible, but again we can't see it. Now, this is what they like. They enjoy the fact that you can't see very far, and it's a very useful technique of theirs, because they say, you know, well, they don't say, but it's obvious that if you can't see very far, you don't know what's happening beyond the limit of your eye. So anything could be happening, and they can tell you anything. And when you do get good clarity, the first thing out of the mouth is the refraction. Well, this is the conditions, the temperature that they would say is ideal for seeing the globe. Obviously we don't see the globe. We see a very, very poor silhouette of where the mountain should be, and that's it. That's all we see. So let's keep up the good fight. Let's keep exposing these lies, exposing the charlatans that will tell you that if you see something in the distance, it is being loomed up. It is nonsense, absolute nonsense. The Earth is either much, much bigger than we're told, or it's flat. It's as simple as that. There is no margin for error in that respect. They have told us that the Earth is a set size, and they cannot go back on that because they have NASA and every other space agency sticking to that same narrative. So their model is set, their size is set. It's unchangeable. But one thing's for sure, in this location where I live, which is in the northwest of England, this location I see an awful lot further than I should do if I lived on a spinning ball. An awful lot further than what we are told. And it doesn't match their model. And their model says that the gravitational pull of the Earth will bend water, bendy water. And again, I'm not seeing evidence of water bending. I see evidence of obstruction, and deciphering what the obstruction is has been the study for the past 10 months. We now realise that obstruction isn't curvature. The inferior mirage is not where the curve starts, or the hump is. It just isn't the case. The Globers hate the fact that I have taken that away from them, that argument, because up until now they could cite the inferior mirage as being a mirror image over the ground or the water. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that mirror images do happen on water. I've filmed them myself. I do know that mirror images do happen on a pavement or a road or an asphalt surface. I've seen it myself. But when it comes to inferior mirages over water that I have documented and proved have happened above the water, that is taking away their argument for this nonsensical ball. And it's nonsense. We all know, well, those of us that are awake know that what we've been told is a lie. There are so many different things that we could go into, so many different stuff. I mean, if you look at the fact of the... I'll give you an example. There's a television program called Naked and Afraid. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen that program or heard about it, but essentially what it is they take the best of the best, in other words, the best survival experts in their field, ex-Marines, Green Berets, etc., etc. And they take them from America and worldwide, and they stick them in different locations around the world to survive for 21 days. With no clothes on. Not a problem, you know, not a problem. For most people, or so they say. Except when they get these experts and they put these experts in this position, what they find is that within the first couple of days they're able to adapt, they're able to build a shelter, maybe even source some water. And then for the rest of the 21 days, they survive by not eating, because for them trying to find food is incredibly difficult. And at the end, I think every single show, there's probably 2 or 3 seasons now of this, these so-called experts have lost, you know, anywhere from a stone to as much as 3 stone in body weight over 21 days because they haven't been able to survive. Now, people do exist in those locations, you know, the Amazon jungle, etc. And these people thrive. And it's their knowledge of their environment that has allowed them to survive and thrive. And yet, the West, the people in the West, for instance, we assume that we have we assume that we are better than them by means of our technology, etc., etc. However, this simple experiment, throwing them in the jungle or the Sahara, shows just how far removed we are from nature, how dependent we are on a system that, if it failed, if it collapsed, nobody would be able to survive. For instance, if I was thrown into the jungle, I would be the same as them. I wouldn't know how to fish, I wouldn't know how to hunt, I wouldn't know how to skin a rabbit, nothing like that. I wouldn't know how to survive. I'd barely even struggle to find water. Give me a week and I would be, I don't know, I'd be tapping out. Thank you, send me home. And yet, we don't realise how precarious a situation we are. You know, we have all this technology apparently, and yet if we were thrown back 100 years, nobody would survive. Nobody. I mean, how many people know how to grow vegetables? Think about it. I'm in my 40s, and the last person I remember that grew vegetables was my grandfather. And had he not shown me how to plant potatoes and carrots and stuff like that, I wouldn't know. But luckily I did, and I was only about 4 or 5 when he did it. But that tells me that kids under 30, how many know how to plant vegetables to live? How many people know how to sew a button on their coat if the coat gets damaged? How many people know how to repair something? Because you don't. Because what you do, because clothing is so cheap right now, you just throw it away. You wouldn't know how to adapt. All these skills that people say that they have in IT and technology, etc., etc. Yeah, it's all great, but that doesn't cut it in the real world. All these people that say they have degrees in this, degrees in that, doesn't cut it in the real world. This, what I do, is the real world. And reading from a book where somebody else has done some work and is telling you that what you see is looming is not you experiencing the real world. It's you reading it from a book, it's you being told what it is. And this is the level that we've come to now, where these so-called experts will tell us this and that and the other because they've been told it, but they haven't experienced it. They haven't gone out and done what I do. They haven't gone out and do what other people do. Go down and test their environment. See what works, see what doesn't work. It's a sad state of affairs, and believe you me, if the shit hit the fan, and we had to survive as a nation, none of us would survive. The only people that would survive will be the people that are living right now in the desert, the people that are living right now in the jungles, because they have survival instincts. They know how to survive. They are at one with their environment. And if you're looking for a reset, that would be the best way to do a reset. All the technology that we have right now, hidden by a few elites, hit the reset button, and nobody would survive. And this is what they do, they test. Do you think that these TV programs are just dreamt up for no reason. No, Big Brother, psychological experiments, all this kind of stuff. When they go and they do these, like I say, these jungle experiments, and they put people in to survive. The survival experts, these guys that, you know, should have no problem surviving. And if they were made to stay in there for 6 weeks, they wouldn't come out. So all the tests, they know exactly where we are as a species. They know where we are in regards taking away our ability to critically think for ourselves, removing that from us, making us dependent on the system. Just ask yourself, how many would survive if you had to? And I'm sure there'll be a few keyboard warriors that will say, I could survive, I've done this, I'm a Green Beret, I've eaten a pig alive, and all this kind of nonsense. But generally, how many would really survive? Not many. Think about it. Knowledge isn't gained from a book. Knowledge is gained from experience, from living life, from experiencing life, from getting out and exploring the world for yourselves. You cannot tell me, if you've read in a book about Japan, what Japan smells like. You can't tell me, if you've read in a book, what the Berlin Wall used to look like, if you hadn't actually seen it with your own eyes. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that think they know stuff. You know nothing. You need to wake up, you need to get out, and you need to do these things for yourself. And if you're just going to be a parrot, I have no time for parrots. Parrots are what keep the sheep in check. And the sheep are the ones that are going to be the one that pay the consequences. I don't want to be a sheep. I would rather be awake. And the earth is flat. You just have to go out and you see it for yourself. Till the next time.